Hey everybody, Cliff Yates, men over 60. I made a video last week of men over 50 and it was pretty popular. But as we even get older, let's talk in 60, 65, 70, let's eliminate some myths that are out there. Well, it's too late now. I've never worked out. I've never exercised. It's never too late. The studies are out there. You can actually not just maintain, you can gain muscle in your 70s and your 80s. You can gain muscle. So start from wherever you are at. And of course, what's the most important as we get 60, 65, 70, 75, really the biggest danger, risk that we can work to prevent is falls. Falls are the biggest risk factor as you get over 60, 65, 70. You've probably seen it in your own life. Maybe it applies to you. People breaking hips and femurs and knee replacements, and a lot of times it's due to a fall. Sometimes people, well, in advanced years will fall, break a hip or a pelvis or something of that nature, and they're in the hospital, they gain pneumonia, all of a sudden they suffer from sepsis and they pass away. And it really was initiated by the fall. So as much as we should really be exercising, doing weight-bearing exercises in any age, it doesn't even matter, but definitely over 60, that really should be the focus. And what is something that would prevent falling? To prevent falling, really, we should prioritize exercises that improve our balance. Balance is going to be the biggest factor in preventing falls as we get older. And so you can do things to increase your balance, different exercises. Balancing on one foot is always a good exercise to help. It can also indicate how good or bad your balance is. Check it out. Try to balance on one foot. See how that works out for you. And maybe you might find out, hey, I need to start to increase my balance. And you can look up online. There's several ways, and there's exercises that you can do to increase your balance. Definitely the lower part of our bodies, the legs, are so important. Even if it's just body squats, just the act of bending down. And they found, there was a doctor who made a video on how people were having trouble just getting up and down off the toilet, but with just a couple different methods, people were all of a sudden freed from that worry or the problem of not being able to sit and stand up from the toilet. In other words, there were strategies you could use, putting your hands on your hips as you lower yourself down to the seat, right? And as same thing as getting up, putting your hands on your knees and then providing some pressure. All of a sudden, you pop up easily. You think, oh wow, I have no trouble now getting up and down. And it gives you confidence. Now, I've been exercising and doing weight-bearing exercises for over 52 years. And it served me well. I have 68 years. Can you believe it or not? I have 68 years. And that's just years I've accumulated. But now, as far as my energy age, my vigor, and that kind of thing, I'm 29, everybody, 29. I still have the energy of a 29-year-old, and you can too. Regardless of where you are right now in your journey, start incorporating a regular, habituated exercise program. And it doesn't really matter what that is. I mean, I'm walking now. Walking is probably one of the best things you can do. And you can do that 20 minutes in the morning, and then maybe 20 minutes after a meal in the afternoon. Very important for controlling your glucose levels, because one of the secrets, no matter what age you're at, is trying to be insulin sensitive. Insulin, we kind of associate that with diabetes, which is the case when we become insulin resistant because we have a constant, amount of glucose in our bloodstream, and so the body has to constantly produce insulin from the pancreas to eliminate our bloodstream from too much glucose. And so if we become, and then what happens is your cells shut down, and insulin really is the key that unlocks cells to let nutrients in. So we want to be insulin sensitive and not insulin resistance. And we can get there by exercise, and we can get there by lowering the carbohydrates, because carbohydrates are going to be converted to glucose in the bloodstream. So let's work on becoming more and more insulin sensitive. Definitely a good way to become insulin sensitive is intermittent fasting or a compressed eating window. What does that mean? That means a typical one would be 16-8. In other words, you go 16 hours without eating, and then your eating window is 8 hours. That's pretty easy to do. If you stop eating at 8 o'clock at night, then you've gone 16 hours by noon the next day. And I do this by having coffee in the morning with a little bit of heavy cream in there. What does the heavy cream do? The heavy cream is a fat, so it doesn't spike insulin in the system because there's no glucose being converted in the system. There is a little bit with heavy cream, as people will argue, but not really that much. And so when you go the 16 hours, it's pretty easy to do. You get used to it. What happens is you're going to become fat adapted. Your body can adjust to start burning fat for energy. Consequently, you're going to be lowering and narrowing your body fat. Your waistline is going to get narrower, and that's going to be a good thing. And then your liver is going to start producing ketones. They call it a ketogenic diet, right? Your body goes into ketosis, and so then your brain starts burning ketones for energy. So your body is using body fat to give you energy, and your brain is burning ketones, and it really likes that better than sugar and glucose. I mean, it loves sugar and glucose, and it'll tell you that it wants it. That's why you'll get hangry, and you'll get that crash, that glucose carbohydrate crash. But once you get fat adapted, you won't have that anymore. You won't get hangry anymore. You won't have that dip down, that dive in energy. I need a meal, I need to eat something. You're going to find that you can go quite a bit longer without eating because your body is adapted to burning fat. It can still burn carbohydrates. You can still have your pasta, but you're not chronically putting glucose and carbohydrates into your system every couple hours. And then what happens when you're going 16 hours without eating, your body goes into what they call autophagy. In other words, your cells say, wow, we're not going to be getting anything for a few hours. This is a good time to clean house, clean out the garbage in our cells. And then it starts to regenerate healthy things in the cell. Autophagy, look it up. It's a real thing, and it's something that we can do, and it's really important as we get over 60. Really important. But definitely start an exercise program if you haven't already, and if you haven't done weight-bearing exercises, do that, because it's so important for our frame, for our bone structure. It really increases your bone density or maintains it if you, on a consistent basis, are doing weight-bearing exercises, like a farmer's carry, they call it. And things that, 100 years ago, we did it by working on the farm, but we're not on the farm anymore. So we have to initiate these kinds of weight-bearing exercises ourselves. Now I do it, I go to the gym because I've been weight training for 52 years. And I'm not crazy. I'm not 7 days a week. But let me tell you something. If you do weight training 3 days a week, 45 minutes to an hour, just 3 days a week, you can't believe the multiplied benefits that are going to come into your life. So men over 60, let's focus on our balance. And we can do that in a myriad of ways. And let's focus on being insulin sensitive. And we can do that. Focus on getting larger amounts of protein, healthy proteins. Your omega-3 is important. The best way to get that is from salmon, from fish. You got this. Men over 60, let's thrive. If you're getting to the point in your life you're about to retire, or you've had to retire, you're getting your Social Security age, and guess what? These are the years that we should be thriving. We want to be full of energy and vitality so that we can enjoy our life. We've been working and serving and working and trading time for money for so many years, and now we're going to have the opportunity to do whatever we want with the amount of money that we have in the time that we have. And so why be hampered by a lack of physicality? The most important thing that we can manage is our energy. We have so much energy coming to and through us. If we will just get garbage out of the way, and you're going to feel it. I got it. I want you to have it. That's why I share these things. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next video.